Good morning, NMA. Today is Monday, March 15th, and I am Assistant Principal Ms. Wheelock. I'm here to talk to you today about Women's History Month, and I want to highlight for you some important women in our history. The first woman I'd like to highlight this morning is Patsy Mink, who was a member of the U.S. Congress starting in the 1960s. She actually served in Congress as a congresswoman for over 40 years, and one of the things that she brought to us is called Title IX, which allowed for young women to participate in sports. And so we have her to thank for our ability to enjoy all the same activities that boys can do too. The other thing I think that's interesting about Ms. Mink is that she was the first Asian American woman to run for the Democratic nomination for president in 1972. She wasn't successful, but women were running for president way back in the 1970s, and I think that's pretty exciting. The second woman I'd like to highlight for you today is named Kalpana Chawla. Kalpana wanted to be an astronaut from when she was really little, and she moved from India to the United States to go to college. She did become an astronaut, and in 1997, she was chosen to go on the first Columbia mission, which circled around the U.S. 252 times in 2 weeks. The third woman I'd like to talk about this morning is Evelyn Yoshimura. Ms. Yoshimura was an activist. In the 1960s, she was part of the civil rights movement, and in general was very outspoken about Asian Americans and women in particular. She did not like the idea that Asians were quiet and socially obedient, so she kept speaking out and kept telling people to find their voice and to speak up. One of the things that she said, I'm going to read a quote from her, is, "We must destroy the stereotypes of Asian women and Asian people as a whole so we can define ourselves and be free to realize our full and total potential." That reminds me a lot of the things that we do to become rhinos. My final woman I'd like to highlight for you today, you've heard me talk about her before, is Kamala Harris, the Vice President of our country. She just recently gave a speech for International Women's Day, and she spoke by asking a question: how do we build a world that works for women? She says, "I believe we must ensure women's safety at home and in every community. We must ensure that women can access high-quality health care and that those health needs particular to women are addressed. We must treat women with dignity at work and put in place structures needed so that women can both care for their families and excel in the workforce. And finally, we must give women equal voice in decision-making, for this is essential to free and fair democracies." Ms. Harris, Vice President Harris, is teaching us that we need to not just think about the women in our community and in our country, but the women around the world. And since this is Women's History Month and we just had Women's International Day of Women, I'd like to say to all of you girls and young women out there, be strong, be brave, and I'm so proud that you are part of our Rhino community. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.